3, 2, 1. Welcome to Breaking Balance. Redefining work, success, and life balance for all sales and marketing professionals. They are international speakers and coaches straight out of Jersey and the home of Spark Tank Media. Here is your host and co-host, Jeff Lobb and Nikki Brand.
All right, here we go again. Breaking Balance. I'm excited to be here. Nikki Brand, co-host, partner in crime over here.
Do it.
We're ready to roll. So we got another great episode. We have an awesome guest.
I know. I'm so excited.
Our guests are really what makes this happen. So I do want to introduce real quick, and then I'll kind of let you take over and run the show a little bit. But we have Molly Mckinley today. Molly Mckinley, dear friend and colleague for many, many years. She wears so many hats and so many things, and I can't wait to dive in. But your current role, Vice President of Brand Strategy at Rate My Agent, but we go way back. So welcome, Molly.
Hi, Molly.
Hi, guys. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I'll kick this off just because we go way back, and I still never forget our one very special moment at the event that we had. And if you recall, I'm gonna have to think of which location it was, but where we had our 15-minute chat by the pool, where we were sitting,
that was Las Vegas.
Feet up,
that was
shoes
the
off.
Conference.
Leading
RE in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, right?
So that was actually one of my all-time favorite conference moments.
That was me
ever.
too. And just a quick story, we were just in the middle of all the heated conference and business and stuff, and I saw her sitting out there, probably in her Zen mode,
right?
Kicking up, just feet up on a lounge chair in the sun. And I was in my jacket and suit on, kicked off shoes, jacket. We just sat and we had 15 minutes of just normal, like, let's just talk real. Molly and Jeff real.
Right,
and
real.
It was so, like, I don't forget that moment. Those are the things that matter, you know?
I totally agree.
Why don't you tell our audience that's listening, a little bit about your backstory, and then we have some really great questions we'd love for you to answer for us.
Yes. So I am an art history, fine art major. And I think it's always funny to start there because, I use design every single day, and sort of my love of art shows up in everything I touch. But I used to run art galleries in San Francisco, dabbled in interior design. And then I helped launch Adobe products for almost 8 years when I was in high-tech public relations. So, really strong foundation in PR. So sort of that, and now I sort of apply the art, the PR, that third-party social proof, really into every marketing strategy that I design. But it really is kind of critical how, although disparate on the surface, that connective tissue of art and interior design and tech marketing is I use every day. So
yeah.
Awesome. I love that. The connectedness from your art degree into tech marketing now. Like it's like taking what you've learned and moving with it with your life, right?
Oh yeah. Right. And I mean, like, I'm an old school PR person at heart, right? Like, I get the fact that when other people are talking about you, and it just has so much more weight and merit because of our humanity, and the psychology around other people validating you is so much stronger than any time we speak for ourselves. It's just how we're hardwired. And so, really applying, even though I don't really do a lot of PR per se anymore, that essence of how can we validate this? How can we socialize this? And how can we really tell a story that is, that leverages social proof? So
I think the key word that you said, Molly, is validation. I am a huge believer in that as well. When you validate someone and their feelings or their doings, they in return seem not only feel better, but want to do more, do better. So would you say in business that validation is a real key part for you?
Oh, I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, anytime I take on a new project, my first question is I always want to get some real legitimate feedback. What do you think? Is this valuable? right? Because if it's not valuable, then I can't tell a compelling story, right? And so always making sure that the products, I've made a few mistakes, Jeff knows, but for the most part,
and we all
that's our life stories right there, the mistakes along the way, right?
That's it, right? You got to pick yourself up and learn from it and, push forward. But, I think, I'm a storyteller at heart. That's the other part that the PR, has really brought into my marketing tool set is, like how do you tell a compelling story? But not just compelling, but connective. And something that is going to not just appeal to the brain and the quantitative aspects of marketing, but really the quality and the heart of marketing. And that's something, I have been, it's something that I've been leaning into harder and harder the older I get, because I do now know, because I have a data story to validate. That's how you actually build a valuable brand, is when you connect at the heart.
So I have a question. So during your process of making it, like you came up with, I thought it was a genius theme called the Undisruptible, right? Or the Undisruptible theme. I really love that. When you're trying to create that, like what's the process you go through? Because that thing took off. We got a lot of influencers to participate in that. Like you really blew that up. How does that start? Does it start like just on paper? Does it start in your brain? Where do you start with that process?
That Undestructible campaign was actually a conversation. It started, I was meeting Mark Armstrong. He's the founder of Rate My Agent. And he and I were at a trade show together at a small little dive bar in a corner somewhere. And we were talking about just, at the time, obviously he was trying to convince me to come to Rate My Agent. And, I wasn't certain I was going to do that. But we were talking about the industry and what was happening. And, I had just left another meeting where everybody was just talking about all of the disruption, everything, around the swirling around of everything that's going to take a business, take business away from agents. And, I have had really amazing experience from a consumer's perspective with agents that I wouldn't have been able to do on my own. And so I really was like, I don't think an agent is disrupting, technology is a yes and, right? Like agents can be undisruptible, and we kind of just wrote it on a napkin, and that's how it started. Knowing this industry and knowing what people care about and what they're talking about, and knowing how to build strategic campaigns.
Yeah.
That's why it took off.
I just love where the ideas come from. So it's just, I had to ask because I never got to ask you that question.
Yeah, no, a really dark, divey bar. I don't know if that was San Francisco or what, but yeah,
there's plenty of them there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, it's interesting that you say undisruptible, because I guess we're looking at a disruptive time, right? 2020, so many people, so many lows, looking for the small wins throughout the year. And here we are, new year, same stuff, right? Here we are over Zoom. We're not together.
Yeah.
When you think getting back to the basics, because that's what I'm hearing from you, like getting back to the basics.
Yeah.
Is that what this is about, really, to grow and brand strongly, would you suggest?
Yeah, I am a human first marketer, right? Mm-hmm. I am really not interested in removing humanity from the message. And I think that is something that has come full circle. Like when we think about marketing and what a brand actually means, a brand was a replacement for the human face, right? So I love in Douglas Rushkoff's book, it's in Team Human and also in Throwing Rocks from a Google Bus, but he talks about this idea of the Quaker oats, right? And how the Quaker used to be the guy behind the counter where you would go and purchase your oats and you would trust and you would know that person, right? Mm-hmm. But in the advent where we have gotten supply chains and gotten further away from the actual person who, grows and sells the oats, you need that thing to stand in, right? And that's what a brand is. It's a stand-in for a face. And if we remember that, right, and we apply that lens, then we think about branding in a much different thing, in a much different way, because it still has to convey trust. It has to convey authority. I mean, it has to convey all of the things that you would do face to face, the handshake, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think somehow we've watered down what a brand truly needs to do. And we think of it as a logo or a tagline. But unless those things do that thing, that face-to-face, human-to-human connection, it's just always going to be flat.
That's really good advice.
Yeah,
that's really, really good out there. Our base really is sales and marketing professionals. And I know a lot of people believe in the disruption, and they believe in, the new way. And to talk, going back to what the brand really is, that there's that soul right behind it. There's that idea, there's the story. So to develop that in a human level is more of that human connection that I feel like getting back to that basic is so
I think
key.
so many people get caught up in what you just said, Molly. They get caught up in that whole, it's a logo, it's a slogan, it's some buzzword, and really doesn't have any meaning deeper than that. I think you said it best, human first, human.
Yeah. I mean, we got to lead with our humanity. And that was really present to me in the 90s. So when I was doing high tech PR in San Francisco, it's like the height of the .com, and you would read these press releases, and every single press release had the exact same words, faster, easy, cheap, it's like, and it was just like, no, you would read, I'm like, I have no idea what this is saying. Like everybody's saying the exact same thing, which means you mean nothing to anyone, right? You're just creating noise. Now fast forward, 2021, when you have everything is getting chaotic and pinging and poking you and all this stuff, right? And for a consumer who's actually overwhelmed with consumption, you can't break through to that. And so, that's so whether it's back to the basics or it's using the best parts of technology to tell that face forward story, or whatever. But I think it's just really easy to remember that we live in chaos. And
and I think like the centering ourselves, going back and speaking of centering, we'll see if this is the centered for all of us is, our children, and trying to, trying to move forward on all our success in the workplace, Molly, because you've been so successful, trailblazer. You wear a lot of hats, and I'm sure there's people out there going, okay, this woman really knows her stuff, but how the hell does she balance her 3 kids at home? You have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 14-year-old. Now I know you're in like the thick of high school-ish, right? And that's a lot going on there. Online learning, whatnot. What's the balance? Is there balance? What's it how do you define that?
That's usually the reaction we get. That's why we have this show.
I'm not going to paint this as some sort of rosy picture, right? I mean, the image that's coming to mind is the, where you're juggling all the plates on the sticks, right? Or the monkeys in a tree with all the different hats, I've got a whole bunch of work stuff that I care deeply about, that I'm trying to show up for, but I also am like acutely present that my time is numbered with my kids. I remember a quote saying like, you only have 18 summers and then they're gone, and like, I'm there, right? My oldest is turning 18 in April. He's graduating and he's leaving, and like, he's not sticking at home. He's actually probably going to join the military, which is an interesting, choice, but that's what he wants to do. And so he's going. So, I sometimes thrive and feel like, yes, I can do this. And sometimes I throw myself on the bed and I'm like, I'm failing everybody, so, it's, I don't know if balance is the right word for my life. I think it's just trying to be present, when I can be, but it's really trying to remember and remind myself to be present, so that whatever I'm doing in this moment, I'm doing.
The awareness.
But yeah,
we talk about that a lot.
So here's the tough question that I think all of us, we all feel the same. So when you throw yourself and you're on the bed and you're trying to figure out, like, I'm failing everybody, because we all, I can admit, I go there too, like maybe just not on the bed. It's a different mental breakdown some days. What gets you back up? What triggers you to get back up and do it better and step up? And what's your trigger?
Because I fundamentally believe that life is a gift, that we're in these bodies, and it is an absolute gift to be able to show up every day. And so, just a genuine love for life, trying to show up for my kids, trying to create, for me, that's what business building is all about. It's about creation, and, it's just, when it's hard, but hard isn't bad. Hard is just hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Hard is just hard.
I love that.
How you just keep going.
I mean, I got to believe too, we talk about it quite a bit about our kids, not in their right frames of mind, and they're dealing with
so much
emotional roller coasters. I mean, are you feeling that same with virtual and schooling and life, and then sports? Tell us how you deal with that.
Oh yeah. So, so my kids are not thriving in the virtual world. I've learned a lot about my children. My daughter's over here listening, but the need for structure is actually huge in our family.
Agree.
So we have no structure right now for them. And, we live on a farm, and we have no really crappy internet on the farm. So I have a little office space. We rent the top floor of a house. And so I'm trying to, if I don't make my kids come to the office for school, then they're home, trying to work with all these, we spend hundreds of dollars on all these like hotspots and Wi-Fi's and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's a nightmare. I'm not going to lie. But the worst part for them, I feel like this year has been a bust academically. I have, it's just a lot of sleeping. For me, the worst is these asynchronous days where, you're getting in a rhythm and then you're out for 2 days and then you're in for, it's just, I just feel like we could do so much better. I
agree with you.
Like, we're really missing the boat here with the virtual school thing.
100%, Molly.
Yep.
I agree with you 100%. And as parents trying to quote balance, working and, having life experience with our kids. I mean, listen, yours are, 17, 15, like they're in the heart of life experience that you don't get back. And that's how I feel with mine. I look at them and I want to cry, because I'm like, I always said, like, this is it. When you're out of college, not to say this is like it where it's not fun anymore, but this is the adolescence of life. And so it is really frustrating as a parent. I'm with you. You are not alone in your feelings. Let me tell you, I agree. Most days I'm frustrated, and it is tough then to work, come home,
very difficult,
and be mommy, daddy.
The limitations are what frustrates me a lot. I mean, you're going to have, kids, like I said, we're missing the school plays. We're missing the things that made them really remember those things. I'm missing, I got my son finally playing college ball. We can't show up as a parent. I got to watch it on live stream. I got to watch it on my phone. Like, here's the chance I waited all my life to see my kid, and I got to watch it on a screen somewhere because we can't show up. So like those things, we'll all be fine. We'll grow from it. But, I think it's a challenge. And I'm a sports guy. Are your kids still in the sports? I know you got a whole bunch of stuff that was going on there too.
Yeah, actually my oldest, this is a varsity lacrosse player. So we have a game, and we're actually tonight, and we're allowed to go back, which is great. And then my youngest is a very competitive hockey goalie. So we actually do travel with him. And that has kind of saved him, because, he is able to connect with his friends online. They play games together, and then they have hockey. So I think he's probably the one who has adjusted best to this. And I actually attribute that to still getting his needs met through sports. But yeah, it's juggling like the travel with hockey and, and just everybody, for me, it's dinner, that's the biggest challenge for me is
So Molly,
always trying to
Always.
Did you hear this? Jeff and I did a podcast about that subject, and we actually did a hashtag "What's for Dinner" challenge, because every night it was a shit show for dinner. Excuse my language.
It was, no, 100%. We actually, so the challenge was, maybe we'd love to see if you could jump in on it. And we fell off the wagon for about a week. We have to go back on. We made a commitment that on Sunday nights, we're going to sit with our kids and we plan out Monday through whatever. And I don't care if it's just, it's an order in, or it's I don't care if it's macaroni and cheese.
Right. But
we planned it out. So we didn't have to go home and have that battle of what's for dinner tonight? What do you cook?
Right.
I don't
because
it's 7:30 at night.
There's the stress of dinner, what to make, what is it? Do we even have it? Kids are hungry, the running around, right?
Yeah.
It adds to the stress of the day. It's like one less thing to be stressed about if we can figure it out. So maybe you want to hop on our hashtags.
Well, I am 100% with you. I try to do food shopping on the weekend for the entire week and plan meals for the entire week. And it is often that I make my dinner that morning or the night before, so that because my agent is in Australia, so we have late meetings. So if I am finishing up at 6:30, I get home at 7. I've got to run and take care of my chickens and my goats and all kinds of stuff. So if the kids haven't put the dinner in the oven, then we're not going to eat till 8. Right. So that's where it's all hands on deck. I need you guys to step up and stand in and do your part. Actually, my kids are all amazing chefs. My oldest is great. My daughter is an incredible baker. Wow. So they actually have some kitchen skills. Yeah. But my trick is I will either do a slow cook something in the morning or cook something the night before, but that prep has to happen or we just eat too late.
This is a common theme, Jeff.
That's right.
Common theme.
I did buy my Ninja air cooker and all that stuff too.
Mine works. Have you pressed start yet?
Yes, I pushed start. Yeah, I've used it. Yeah, I use it for my chicken and broccoli now because I'm on a whole different gig too. But I think the kids knowing what's on the menu, if you will, because there's no school menu
and there's no more what's for dinner.
They could at least start last night. I think it was last night. My 13-year-old made dinner. He made pork chops and mac and cheese really impressive. And he was stoked about it. And I was like, wow, you pulled this off and it's cooked and it's done. And
well, my kids think I'm ridiculous, but I always am guys, it's a life skill and this is non-negotiable. You need to cook. You need to be able to.
Constantly.
My college kid he's messaging me I'm going shopping. I'm picking what else can I make with chicken? And he's doing the cooking in the dorm rooms. Maybe he's cooking for everybody, but that's fine. So I think that's good. You're right. This is where we got to get them to evolve.
This is life skills. I always say to my kids are failing life skills 101, probably because of me half the time, but it is a life skill. And I completely agree with you, Molly. I wanted, before, we end, I really want to talk about now, here you are, you're VP of a big company and your mom and you're juggling everything. You're also launching a book. And I think it's a fabulous title. Please tell us about it. And so we can talk about it.
Yeah, it's called The Intentional Business, A Path to Purpose and Prosperity. And it really is a culmination of my experience over the last 25 years. The last 15 years, I've been a yoga teacher and really doing lots of advanced spiritual studies. And when I'm learning about all of these things, I'm like, oh man, if only this were applied in business, right? Or if I kept having those connections where these spiritual and yogic philosophies applied to what I know about creating and business building, my lights were firing. And so it really is about that. It's layering this knowledge that I've acquired, along with how business and marketing is done. And I call it the intentional business because we actually are all co-creators. whether we are doing it consciously or subconsciously, with our thoughts, with our words, and our actions. And so helping people learn some of these basic laws of the universe, if you will, and apply that to what you are doing every day. I just think it's garbage that we spend most of our best hours at work, and then we reserve like small amounts of hours for like the soul stuff. And, so like, how do we pull that forward, the soul, our humanity, all of that into the work so that we actually are building businesses that matter and that can change the world. And that's the kind of thing that I care about. So
that is beautiful. Beautiful. You are speaking my love language, Molly. Let me tell you, energy is attracted to like energy, right? It's all around us. So, when you can focus on that purpose and passion of something that matters and couple it with your work and your family, then you really have that purposeful, soulful life that we're all seeking, right? Like that's what it's about.
It is.
I think, does this all stem from you have your side hustle. On top of all of this, you have your side hustle too, which I've received some beautiful gifts from. It's called intentionalities.
Yeah. And, I am a wannabe herbalist just because I love nature and plants. So started getting into custom blends based on like, okay, how do plant materials support what you're trying to accomplish? And so each intentionality tea blend has plant material that supports the intention, whether it's gratitude or love or peace or wellness. But have started getting into it's something that I kind of feel like is my life's work. And I call this goodness loops. And it's how does your business give back? And so now my side hustle has actually become my vehicle for me to give and to promote charitable causes. So my teas now all give back to a specific cause. That's, again, we can give and create goodness loops with whatever excess, whatever scrap we have, because that excess is our opportunity to share. And instead of sort of taking sort of a wasteful approach and things just, end up on the floor, right? Like, how do we take what we're not using or what we have, extra to share? So that's kind of where that's coming from.
The packaging, the stuff you put out is amazing. I saw your very first round of intentionalities, and
I love it.
It was amazing, and it's beautiful. It's packaged well. I mean, I don't even know how you do it.
I love it.
Gift, but
I want it.
I'm glad you're still doing it.
Do you have a website?
We'll absolutely.
Plug it.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple things. So let's talk about, because we do want to keep it to about 30. So let's talk about your website for intentionalities. Is it? Give us the web address. We'll put it in here.
It's INTENTIONALITEAS. You're probably gonna want to edit that out, but yeah, intentionalities. Great. And the word intentionality is actually about a philosophy of being intentional with your life, right? Moving with purpose, and so it's just a play on that word, but it's teas. With
teas. That's awesome.
Great.
And if folks want to reach out to you and just have questions about stuff you do or your book, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm actually building a site right now, Intentional Together. And that is going to be the place where the book lives and everything kind of comes together. It's going to be the umbrella brand for everything I care about. And, find me on Facebook or LinkedIn.
It's awesome.
Best way to do it.
So happy we had the chance to do this. And I know we probably need more FaceTime together at some point too. Wish I could just bounce.
Pool time, right?
Or pool time.
Pool time.
I'll take any time at this point. Hopefully we will see each other somewhere soon besides Zoom. So grateful for you to be here with us today. And we're going to kind of wrap up our show. If you guys want to reach out to us, right, we can, we've got Breaking Balance at sparktankmedia.com. And we're looking forward to another series, but this one was fabulous for me. This was a win.
Thank you, Molly. Really,
absolute win for us.
So many good nuggets taken today. Very inspiring woman. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
All right, guys. We'll see you hopefully next week.
All right.
Breaking Balance.
Bye.